heinous comments in the studio before we hop on here. Heinous. Egregious.
Oh boy.
It's the dumb truth.
Welcome in to Mr. Chatty Boxes over here. We just can't get enough of talking, so we talk amongst each other in the little studio before we hop on. Why waste YouTube's time with us talking live for everybody to watch us? So that's about our lives right there. Welcome in, guys. This is the AJA Sports Show. I'm Ace, always joined in by Jay and Andrew. What's going on, guys?
What up? How we doing today, fellas?
Hi, welcome everyone.
Doing well so far. I sound like a robot, or no, just a very sad person. Don't mean to come off like that. Andrew, thanks for trolling us in the comment section there. Yes, we were supposed to start a little earlier. No, we did not. But we are all adults here, and it's okay. We have the consent to do as which we please to do. Hi, Elizabeth. And hi, Sabrina. Oh, hey.
Hey, Sabby.
Sabby. Welcome in. So on today's show, we're gonna have a little bit of fun. We're gonna talk a little bit about the current affairs of the NBA and the playoffs and how that's going. We're gonna play a little game. For better or for worse, I don't know what to call it, but we're just gonna play like a little dating game with some of the NBA coaches and their new landing spots. And then we're going to end the show with another kind of fun segment where I'm going to ask these guys to rank things from like 1 to something, and we'll see what their responses are. And it's all basketball related. This is court sessions. This is like our 10th court sessions that we've done or something like that. Maybe even like 15th at this point, because I don't know. We rattled off like a bunch in a row. For a good.
NBA playoffs, baby.
For a good hot minute there.
Biggest thing going on right now.
So, did you pull up the comments while I was doing my little monologue there? What's going on, Ryan? Oh.
I was trying to, but I canceled out you pulling it up.
Happens about once a show.
Then I apologize to Ryan, and then Shohei hit a bomb. I know we're not talking baseball today, but Shohei hit a 26th homer of the season in his first at bat at Yankee Stadium. The guy's just you all talking about robot. He's a robot. He's made from I don't know what kind of cloth he was cut from, but he's unbelievable.
The dude goes oppo a lot, like a lot. It's kind of crazy.
Well, on radio today, oh man, I'm forgetting who the 570 broadcaster was, but he was just mentioning that Shohei is the greatest baseball player he's ever like seen play, and I was like, well, he might be if he like maintains his health and his production here. We haven't seen this before.
He's not even the best player on his own team. That's Mike Trout, so we'll see about that.
Well, Mike Trout is injured. Whatever.
Yeah, that's okay.
That's true.
Guys, he's still better than Mike Trout.
Okay, so let's just take a little step forward into some of the conference finals updates here. So we got Game 5 today between the Phoenix Suns and the Los Angeles Clippers. The Clippers, again, are facing a hole, down 2 games. Stop me if you've heard this before. Okay, we have. So, just
third time now.
Third time.
Right.
Yeah.
So, what I've been watching sports today, but is the media doesn't seem too concerned, right? There's also, so we're gonna talk about the Suns a little bit later on the show, but right now too, let's talk about them. There's this narrative with Chris Paul that he, because he's lost up 3-1. So, is the media not worried that the Clippers are going to pull off 3 in a row here? Because I haven't really seen or heard anything.
Yeah, no one's really worried about it. I think it'd be much more of a worry if Kawhi Leonard was playing, but since he's not, yeah, it's pretty. This was going to be a tough hill for them to climb anyway. I mean, it's the main reason why I picked the Suns to win this series, because I knew Chris Paul was going to be back, and I knew that Kawhi Leonard more than likely wasn't. I was telling Andrew the other day because he was kind of asking about like the severity of his injury. Obviously, we don't know, right? They're calling it a knee sprain, but they did mention right when it happened that it was an ACL issue. Don't know what you could possibly do to an ACL to sprain it, considering it's a ligament, but okay. That's why they went with a knee sprain. So, yeah, no, I don't know exactly what they're going to need to do to get that all cleared up in the offseason. But with no Kawhi Leonard, I mean, this was pretty much over before it started, in my opinion.
Is it because the Clippers are pretending that Kawhi is going to not, like, they're trying to, like, loosely pretend he's coming back?
It doesn't make a difference, right? Like, you can't add to the playoff roster, right? Whoever you come in with is who you come in with. It doesn't behoove them at all to say Kawhi Leonard's not going to play. You might as well just put up the facade there that, you never know, because just saying he's out doesn't really do anything for you. Now they got Zubac out too, so.
He is on their active roster, though, right? Even though he
has to be. But he's on the active roster, but he's inactive for the games because obviously he's hurt. But you can't bring people in. Like once you get hurt, you can't add to your playoff roster.
So Zubac is out today?
Zubac's out. They just ruled him out like 20 minutes ago.
Andrew, any chance you see the Clippers coming back here?
I don't know, man. Me and you picked them. If they do come back, Ace, you have them winning this series in 7. I had them winning it in 6. So you're actually, you're like, in terms of points when we add them all up, if they make this comeback, I think we're all going to be tied in terms of points of like playoff picks and stuff. So for your sake, it might behoove them for them to come back, but I don't know, man. I stuck with the pick in game 1. I was like, Kawhi's going to be out game 1, at worst game 2. He'll be back when they get back to LA, and he's not coming back. And I said playoff people carry him. He got 1 win in Phoenix, but they couldn't really. The free throws came back to haunt Mr. Paul George again, unfortunately, in game 4, in a game that was like one of the probably like worst shooting playoff games we've ever seen. Honestly, that was probably like not only one of the lowest scoring playoff games we've seen in a long time, but probably since and you guys will obviously remember the 2010 finals, the Lakers and Celtics played the Game 7 NBA Finals 83-79 scoreline, and both teams shot like under 32%. It was unbelievable, like how bad like people were shooting. That's what we saw the other day. So I don't know if Phoenix locks it up today. I would bet money that they do, but I don't think the Clippers will be able to come back from this one, unfortunately.
Okay, I'm gonna throw a question to Jay here. Ty Lue.
The Birds have picked the Suns.
I've heard Ty Lue comparisons to Bill Belichick. So what I heard in the media was Ty Lue knows how to make adjustments. So every game now is just a 1 playoff game series for the Clippers, right? Because they just have to win 1 game each time, and they've been close in 2 of the 3. 2 of the 3 they've lost, right? And 1 that they have won. It was still a pretty close game. So tonight, do you realistically think the Clippers have a shot, Jay? Not in the series, but just tonight.
Yeah, I mean, they have a shot. They have as much of a shot as they've had in any other game this series. I mean, Chris Paul has not been the miraculous Chris Paul that we've been used to seeing since coming back. I mean, he's just knocking off the rust, I would assume. I'm not sure if he actually had COVID or just being off of that period kind of had a factor for him. I think Devin Booker's still wearing the mask. I don't know. I actually don't know if he is. I think he got rid of it for a little bit in the last game, right? Hey, do you remember off the top of your head?
He took it off midway through game 4.
Midway through it, right. So he'll be without it. That looked like it was obviously playing a factor. I mean, the first game he played with it, he was like 5 for 24. So, I think they're going to have to play more DeMarcus Cousins with Zubac out. I think you probably see a little more Rondo in there. You're going to see Ty Lue kind of throw the kitchen sink or whatever he has to do at this point. He's been doing that, though, right? We've seen Kennard get minutes and then Kennard not get minutes. We've seen them really struggle with Zubac on the floor in the first round and then how they had success with him on the floor in the second round. So, you're seeing them try to make as many adjustments as they can. At the end of the day, without Kawhi Leonard, Phoenix is a better basketball team. They're hungrier, they're younger, they're more healthy. And one of the interesting things, like Andrew mentioned with the free throw shooting, is these were the 2 best free throw shooting teams we've seen, not in the league, in NBA history. They were literally the 2 best free throw shooting teams in NBA history this year. And the Clippers are shooting 68% from the free throw line this series. And we've seen that play a huge factor. I mean, if Paul George hits those free throws, not saying they for sure win that game, but pretty damn close, right? And this is an entirely different series that we're looking at. Instead of 3-1 now, it's 2-2, and anything goes from there. But
so give me one adjustment, one thing that the Clippers have to do today. You kind of make it seem like they have to make free throws. Is that the only adjustment that puts them back into this, or is there something that you can kind of see them doing to have a shot today?
Right. I mean, I think making free throws is going to go a long way because I do think that they've lost 2 games this series by missing free throws. I mean, it's clear as day that they lost that game 3 they lost game 2 by missing free throws, and then they lost this most recent one. They lost by 4 points. I mean, these games have been competitive. They haven't been blowouts. Clippers have been in them, and that's one thing I will say for the Clippers. And I mean, obviously, we're all Laker fans, so any way that I can go out to bash the Clippers, I'm going to go out of my way to do so. They've been great, like all postseason, through injuries, ups and downs, different lineup adjustments. They've been up to the challenge this year. It just seems like this year more than any. We've talked about it before, but 3 smart gentlemen have been talking about the war of attrition that's gone on with this short NBA offseason. It's literally who's the healthiest, bro. Like, we just saw Trae Young get hurt yesterday, and granted, it was on a freak accident, like stepping on a referee's ankle, but it's to the finish line now, bro. Like, Milwaukee, why is Milwaukee like everyone's favorite to win it? They're healthy at this point. Why does everyone like the Suns? Why did everyone like the Suns to beat the Clippers? They're the healthiest at this point. So in terms of adjustments, I think that they have to make sure that they hit their free throws. That's huge because they're getting to the line. Now, hitting them is a different story, especially in crunch time. And then I think DeMarcus Cousins can do some things that Zubac can't in terms of just putting the ball in the basket from different spots, right? We saw him come in and only play like 9 minutes, but he scores like 10 points when he plays like solid minutes. Like, he gets in there, and he's a guy who brings a different level of physicality, a little veteran presence against DeAndre Ayton. Obviously, he can't move with DeAndre Ayton, which is a little damn scary. I mean, DeAndre Ayton runs up and down the floor like a damn gazelle for a 7-foot center. So, yeah, real interesting. See if they can hit their free throws and see if they can keep the series extended because it looks like Chris Paul very well may be on his way to his first NBA Finals today.
Okay, give me a percentage, Andrew. Clippers win tonight. What's the percentage here?
I'll give them like a 30% chance of winning here. If I had to channel my inner ESPN BPI, like basketball power index something, I'll give them a 30% chance of winning.
Jay, what do you have?
20.
Yeah, I'm being a little generous. The thing I was going to mention too about, and this I won't go too long, but the thing I was going to say is the Clippers are playing. We talked about attrition. This is their 17th game in 33 days. So they've just been playing games and playing. It's because Luka took them 7. Then who did they play in the? I'm forgetting who they played in the second round. They Utah. They went 6 against Utah. 2 of those games without Kawhi Leonard, and now they're right away, like right after they beat Utah on Friday, they played game 1 against Phoenix on that Sunday in Phoenix. So it's just been, I think they're out of gas, but we'll see. 30%.
And you're going to play a lot of games when you go down 2-0 in every damn series. I mean, you might as well for the Clippers this year. You might as well just chalk it up. Just start the series in game 3 in LA for them and down 2-0 because that's what they've been doing. And we see they've done it twice, right? No team has ever done that twice in NBA history. They've already done it twice, and then this would have to be a third time. And they did beat the Utah Jazz 4 straight games to close that series out. They were up 2-0 in Utah. Everyone was talking about Utah going to the Western Conference Finals like it was a damn given. And the Clippers were able to rise from the dead like the goddamn Undertaker from the bottom of the damn ring, sticking himself up, ready to go. You know what I'm saying? I don't see it happening here personally, but, crazy things have happened, especially in this season of the NBA, bro. And anyone who wants to put an asterisk on the freaking Lakers championship, someone wins this championship, 5 asterisks. I need to see asterisk upon asterisk upon asterisk, okay? But there isn't one because I'm not petty. And when you win an NBA championship, it's hard no matter the circumstances. So when you win an NBA championship, you win an NBA championship. So stop shitting on my Lakers championships, okay? We got 16 more of them if you want to go check the damn scoreboard, you bunch of bums.
Ace, What do you give them? What percent chance do you give them? I just want to ask you, get your opinion.
I'll give them like a 41% chance of winning.
41.
Ooh, that's pretty good. That's pretty good chances.
Yeah, I think. I mean, obviously, I think the Clippers have a shot to win. So, well, you know, I'm not super down on them. I know that they've lost and they're not super clutch, but hey, we could see it like, well, they're not super clutch in this series because they have been clutch in the other two series, but they have the players on the roster. They have some depth here. As long as the Phoenix Suns don't like clobber them in the freaking jaw like they did to the Lakers in Game 6. If the Clippers win the first quarter, then the Clippers win this game. So that'll be my prediction. If I see Clippers up 25-20, then I'll pat myself on the back and I'll turn off the TV and I'll hear about it tomorrow. Okay,
there you go.
That's what.
Drop the mic, eh? You know what I'm saying?
Definitely. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go to the other side of the bracket, right? We're the Eastern Conference Finals here. So everything that I'm hearing in the NBA right now is that the Atlanta Hawks are done. They're pack up your bags, Atlanta. You're not making it to the finals. That's apparently what everybody's talking about. So the Bucks are up 2-1, right? So this is not an elimination game that they have to. You know, their next game is not an elimination game. But why is everybody so down on the Hawks right now? Is this just mainstream media just being, you know, ridiculous?
I think a little bit has to do with the fact, like what Johnny touched on. They haven't had any injury problems, with the exception of Dante DiVincenzo in round 1. They've already shown that they can, you know, power through that injury, and Brooklyn made it tough on them, but they were able to cope. Now they're up against.
This is more about Milwaukee than the Atlanta Hawks. Is that what you're saying?
I think it's more so because of Milwaukee, but it's also because of Atlanta. Atlanta's dealing with injuries too, and I mean, Bogdanovich got hurt in the previous round, and it's kind of lingered now. And now, like Jay mentioned, Trae Young is slipping on the referee. They're calling it a right ankle contusion. So I don't really know what to make of that. He's obviously going to just play because it's not a season-ending kind of injury. I imagine it's some sort of ankle sprain that he's just going to have to fight through to get through the season. He talked about it in his post game that he just couldn't get that push that he really wanted to blow by people. That's a big part of his game, especially when he gets into the lane to knock down those teardrops. But I think it's a little bit about just Milwaukee being healthy, and what we saw from Chris Middleton in the fourth quarter. I mean, if Milwaukee can get that a few more times in this playoff run, I think they'll be able to take this title home pretty easy, to be honest with you, even if they do meet a team like Phoenix, which I think is probably the likely scenario, just based on how Middleton plays and what Giannis is able to do and fill up the stat sheet. So it'll be interesting to see. But I wouldn't be surprised if Atlanta wins another game. I have Milwaukee winning in 6. So I want Atlanta to win another game. I think they'll win that game 4.
Okay. I mean, I have Atlanta winning this series, right? Because I've seen because if your best player, you have to rely on your best player, Giannis, to finish off a game, then he's not going to finish off a game. He's a liability at that point. We've already seen this happen with the Sixers and Ben Simmons. Like, when narratives become a reality, which I can't always trust you in the final minutes of a game. Like, I can trust him to fill up the stat sheets. Sure, I can trust him to score, but for some reason I can't trust him to shoot free throws all the time. So I think there's definitely a way that this scrappy team can get in their heads and, you know, just really, really push this series not just to a 5th game, but to a 6th game, to a 7th game. I give him a shot. I'm just a little perplexed. Yes, every series we've seen so far has been, like, extraordinarily entertaining. I don't think we've had one bad series, to be honest. Like, I would even say, like, the Knicks, right? The Knicks versus the Hawks. Like, that first round series, like was filled with so much, like, altercation between the fans and Trae Young, and I don't know. I can't even think of a bad series that we had this first round, right? But
you'd argue the Lakers was one of the worst ones. The last 2 games that the Lakers played in that series, you know, they were big blowouts.
Even the Sixers versus the Celtics, right? That was a 5-game series, but you got to see Jason Tatum drop 50 in the playoff game. Hasn't been done since Larry Bird, right? So, like, I'm looking back and so far, like, I've seen so many entertaining games and just not just entertaining in the way that, like, oh, this is good basketball, but, like, entertaining in the way, like, oh, I'm surprised, like, this is still happening, or this is happening, or, you know, well, what I expect is the unexpected. That's why I made my picks with the Clippers and the Hawks, because I just was like, I'm just gonna pick birds, right? So, you know, the Clippers, because you can clip a bird's wings, which is what Ryan picked up on as my rationale in the last show. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not counting anybody out until we see them to the next round. So I think the Hawks still have a shot. Yes, they lost by 30 whatever points. Who cares? It is what it is. You learn more from your lessons, right? Of losing than you would from a win, because a win is like, oh yeah, we did everything right. Yeah, we're successful. No, like this scrappy team has a chance to really win the East, and like the Bucks are healthy, right? They're still without one player, but whatever. Okay, so enough of me about talking about how much Trae Young still has to be healthy, so I'm not that.
Right. And honestly, had Chris Middleton not gone nuclear and went 9 for 10 in the fourth quarter for 20 points, the Atlanta would be up 2-1 right now, because Atlanta was in control for most of that game. They got out to a 25-10 lead in the first and weren't coasting, but they were able to consistently sustain their lead. But then Chris Middleton happened. So yeah,
the Bucks were down by 7 when Trae Young got hurt. Bucks were down by 7 at that point.
Right.
The series is over. Yeah, I mean, Milwaukee's just a better team. I mean, there's no one that's stopping Giannis. Giannis doesn't have to be the closer. Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton are more than capable of doing that. Both of them handle the ball really well. Both of them are able to get other people involved in the offense. Both of them are able to shoot, whether that be from the mid-range, from behind the arc. They're able to finish at the rim. Both are excellent free throw shooters. Just this Milwaukee Bucks team. It seems like the Bucks and the Suns. If you start to look back now that we have, the reality of hindsight to look back, you can kind of see how these two are now on a collision course towards the NBA Finals in terms of how the games are starting to go their way, how they're starting to just take over the competition. It really does seem that way. Granted, as I just mentioned, the Hawks were up by 7 going in, and Bogdanovich not being healthy is a big thing. They relied on him, and he hit a lot of tough shots in that Knicks series. That's a guy when there were some rumors of him floating around going to the Lakers, I was all over. I was all in favor of that. So just real interesting to see these series play out the way that they are. Trae Young has ascended to like almost star level. I don't know if he's superstar level yet, man. Like I know he's been unbelievable and he's doing things that we haven't seen. Andrew and I have been talking about it, between him and Luka. It's a great conversation to have now, especially when you start to look at, what Luka's been able to do and what Trae's been able to do. Now, my biggest argument for that, and we can get into this another day, but I just have to always throw my 2 cents in there because that's what I do best, is that one of them, if they were in the West, would be a first-round exit the same way that the other one is. So I think if Trae Young and this Hawks team were in the West, this is a first-round exit team that's probably losing to the Clippers the same way that the Mavericks did. It just so happens that they play in the East, and they were able to get the Knicks, who I didn't have, going very far anyway. They were able to luck out and win a second-round series as well versus the Philadelphia 76ers with Joel Embiid having a torn meniscus, playing the last 3 games with a torn meniscus, and Ben Simmons just becoming a shell of himself. But it's great. I mean, between them and Donovan Mitchell, I mean, we are seeing some really great basketball from some really young players, and there's a lot to look forward to going forward in the NBA as we start to see this transition period. So, I think this is over though. I'd say it's the Bucks.
Trae Young trying to quiet you down here. I'm trying to get Trae Young vibes to New York. Nah. Okay. I'll ask you the same question I asked for the last 2 teams since the Hawks are down. Chance you give the Hawks to win Game 4, not win the series, just Game 4.
55%. I think the home court advantage is pretty solid for Atlanta. I think that if they're gonna get a game, they got to get Game 4. I think if they lose Game 4, then the series is obviously over, and that would bode well for Johnny's pick because he has Milwaukee winning in 5. I have Atlanta losing in 6, like I said. So I would want them to get at least one more home game, just to bring one home. But we'll see. I'll say 55%. Hopefully, Trae Young is not as hobbled as we think he may be. So that'll definitely be worth watching. I don't know. Well, we'll see. We've kind of seen Atlanta be able to do a little bit of the impossible, pulling out wins in moments that they like you mentioned, like the unexpected. So I'll say 55%. I know that's kind of high, but I'll go with that.
I'll top you. I'll go 58%. Which, if you remember, in 1958, the St. Louis Hawks won the NBA title. This was before the merger, so 58% chance that the Hawks win Game 4. What about you, Jay?
Love the rationale. Deep dive, stat search. Love that.
Attaboy, Ace. Yeah, put the thinking cap on. Attaboy. Yeah, 25%, bro. There's no shot they win.
No shot.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
one out of 4. Okay, I mean,
yeah, quite literally. What's the line? What's the line of that game? I'll take whatever the Bucks line is there. I'll take the Bucks line.
Okay. That's your prerogative.
Trae Young is gonna be. This is. I mean, at least if we we're talking about Game 5. He has a couple days to rest or something. He's literally at 36 hours. 36 hours, he's back on the hardwood again. And if he's not unbelievable, this Hawks team doesn't have a chance. He needs to score 35 to 40 points for this to be a contest.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think he could do that. Like, and I do
on a bad ankle though. You think?
But I mean, I get,
dude.
Yeah,
7 point spread right now. 7 points for Milwaukee. They're giving Milwaukee 7 on the road.
He can't. Well, that's ridiculous. He can't just sit back from 3 and just drill threes like with a bad ankle.
He's not
50%.
That's not what he does, right?
I know.
We're talking about Trae Young or
he can
Damian
still
Lillard
shoot.
or something. Yeah, but he's not like a spot up shooter. He's not like a catch and shoot type shooter. He's a let me get my own type of guy off the dribble. Like Devin Booker, I would be with you. Totally different. Devin Booker, when he's shooting off the dribble, is like 23% from the 3-point line. And when he's shooting like from a catch and shoot position, he's like 47. So yeah, if we were talking like Devin Booker, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, then I totally agree with you. But when you're relying on a guy who predominantly relies on his speed, I mean, literally, this is not a knock on Trae Young. This is just the damn truth. Luka Doncic, the reason why it's, for me, between the two, it's Luka Doncic, not even close. Luka Doncic is almost 6'8". Dude's like 6'7.5". Trae Young is 6'2". I mean, and if he doesn't have his speed, that's his main predication of his game. That's how he gets everything going. That's how he's able to even get others involved. Like, he doesn't even do a good job of getting others involved in the flow of the offense unless he's blowing by his guys and getting people open, which is not a knock. I mean, LeBron James has been doing it for 17 freaking years. But you have to have that explosiveness, and we saw that happen with these great athletes. Once their explosiveness is gone, it's the thing I've always said about Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook is unbelievable. Once the explosiveness is gone, Russell Westbrook is going to become like Lou Brent's Dort, bro. Like, can't shoot. Like, I mean, literally, if he can't blow by people and uses athleticism, it is over. I talked to Andrew about this the other day. If Steph Curry wants to play till he's 50, there's going to be a role for Steph Curry. Sit in the corner and knock down wide open 3-pointers all day while other people do other things, because that's all he has to do. Or run off ball screens and shoot 3-pointers till you're blue in the face, because that's all he does. That's his game. But when you're relying on someone like Trae Young who needs to get by defenders, an ankle problem is not something you want to be experiencing, especially when Drew Holiday's guarding you.
So let me I pulled up Trae Young's corner threes that he took this year. He didn't attempt a lot from the corner, but from the corner he shot 58% from 3 this year. So
right, how many attempts? Is that?
It says it's like 30. I can't. 3% of his 3% of his threes were for the corner, and he made 58% of them.
Three of them. Yeah. That's
why. He's not liking those odds there
because he doesn't. There's no one facilitating for him.
So 3% of his not 3-pointers. 3% of his threes were in the corner, and he made 58% of them. So. Right. Whatever. Okay. I mean, I just asked the question.
I'm just saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's just not a lot because he's and it's not a knock on him. It's just he's the offense.
Okay.
Like, Luka Doncic, same thing. He's not going to get wide open 3-pointers because he's not PJ Tucker. Where we don't give a damn if PJ Tucker's shooting these threes.
Okay, so he can come in today, be a decoy, take it a little easier. Capella can try to beast out. I mean, I can see there's other ways for this to happen for them to win, but yeah, it's unlikely that they win this game in some of those rationales. I just think it would be harder for the Hawks to win this series if he doesn't play today. I think, like,
absolutely,
mentality-wise, even if you lose today, you still need Trae Young out there. Like, no matter what, no matter
100%. I mean, okay, so Grant Hill, now that we're just getting on this for a second, Grant Hill's in that front office. And for anyone who doesn't remember what happened to Grant Hill was on his way to becoming one of the best players in the National Basketball Association, had an ankle injury, played on that ankle injury, and screwed up his entire career. Lost his entire career, derailed after a substantial ankle injury because he tried to force himself into a game, right? With Grant Hill there in the front office, is this something that if Trae Young's even at 60%, he's a go, right? So what percentage of Trae Young would I have to give you to where you're like, as a medical staff or as a front office, you say, hey, dude, we need to shut this down. Because for me, it's 50%. If I'm getting 50% Trae Young anyway, we're not winning. So sit, let's hope we can get you 100% for game 5, and then we'll go from there. Because a 50% Trae Young is not going to do it.
I think if you come out of the gates and you're losing early on, it's a 25-point game or some nonsense like that, I think they pull him. I think they pull him. Right. I mean, I don't think he wants to be pulled, but I think they pull him. I think that's where the Grant Hill rationale can carry and be like, look, we still have a shot to win the series. Like let's take you out in like the style with like their star players not there. They lost that game because their star players not there, not fully healthy. Star player comes back for game 5, puts on a grand show, and then you just got to win one more at home, and then
game 7.
Anything's shot in game 7, right? So
right. And then obviously, like you mentioned, it's not only saving him for the series, but now we've seen, right? Like Trae Young, this is something he can do. Like he can ball in the playoffs. So let's not put your career in jeopardy. And let's make sure we're smart about this. Andrew, what do you think? What do you think about the percentage of Trae Young you would be willing to take out there?
I'm kind of in the same camp as Ace. I think you give it a go and you see how he feels, and you really you want to see if he can do what he does. So you want the ball in his hands, obviously. But I think if he becomes like a problem and he's hobbled, you gotta, like you mentioned, Grant Hill, like having that context there, like in the front office, knowing what he knows and understanding, like what could possibly be at stake. You can't really take too many risks with your superstars nowadays, and treading lightly, calling Trae Young a superstar. But he's elevating himself to close to that area. I would say that between he's probably closer to like where we like consider. He's right on the cusp of what we consider a Jason Tatum. I would say I know it's his first playoff run and he's got a couple breaks, but it's his first playoff run and you've taken your Hawks team averaging 29 and 10 to the Eastern Conference Finals against a 2-time MVP, and you guys, they've been holding their own for the most part until that injury. So. I think I'd probably 75%. If I'm getting less than 75% of Trae Young, I don't play him. No, no question.
What I like what you said about there was, the frame of what you said, it was, what the Hawks are doing, right, and that's how successful they've been. But what I would even just venture out to say, and we can close it at this, is the Hawks have done so well this postseason because they capitalized on their opponents' fails and mishaps and completely made them look like the damn fools, right? The Knicks, what, they won game 2, right? So the Knicks, the Hawks won game 1, but I mean the Hawks came out and the Knicks put on a terrible shooting performance, and but anyways they beat them pretty handily that series, but then no one gave them a chance against the Sixers, and then they came out there and they beat the Sixers, right? Like the Sixers, they exploited the fact that they're not super clutch, right? And what did the Hawks do? Is they won some close games. They won games in which Trae Young was able to step up and win a close game with crucial free throws. So the Bucks right now they were exposed in game 1, right? Like they did lose game 1, so let's not count the Bucks out as like champs already, even though it does seem like that. I just want the Hawks a little bit more appreciation for this Birds team, right? Because they have surprised us completely and thoroughly this postseason. Okay, we'll end it there. Good job for great analysis there, folks. Real treasure trove of NBA stats. Okay, we're gonna play. I don't know if I should play a transition for this because I'm all about that now, but it's okay. I don't have to. We're gonna play something that I'm gonna call baggage, and until I figure out a better name for it, because I don't know if this is a like a copyright or not. I don't know if you guys remember that old dating game called Baggage with Jerry Springer. We're not treading on your game show. I'm not, because I don't know if you guys saw this, but I think it was on the Game Show Network or whatever.
Oh, hell yeah. Absolutely.
They brought out like 3 different size suitcases, and then
Yup.
you expose your baggage, and then you delete. You get rid of people, and then at the very end of the show, it's like, okay, well, I got to choose you. Now I have to show you my baggage, and then every once in a while, the person was like, no, I don't want your baggage. Like,
dude, they had some weird stuff. Like, I remember one was like eats cat litter or something like that, bro. Like, get the guy. I'm not eating cat litter. Get away.
They put people on a show.
Yeah.
That's
You never seen that?
No,
I
mean,
like Asa was saying, they have 3 bags, and like the small one is like something little, like I bite my fingernails or something like that. But then the big one was like I don't know, like live with my mom in a trailer park or something, like.
Yeah. I have been divorced 7 times or something like that.
Right. Yeah. Or
well, she's obviously murdering her. I was going to say, obviously murdering her husbands.
2 of my 3 husbands have gone missing.
She's the bride from like the Haunted Mansion. She just kills all her husbands or something, bro.
Yeah, and that's a kid's park. Come on, Disney.
Yeah.
Okay, so until I figure out a better name, this is called Baggage. And I'm gonna ask you guys. We're gonna talk about some of the NBA hires. So we have a few to talk about. And then I want you to tell me if you would or wouldn't accept them based off of the baggage that you have from them, and we can talk about that a little bit. And I'll play some music. We have some
me too, Ryan.
Yeah,
okay.
100%.
Can you guys hear the audio?
Ooh.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Okay. So I'm gonna lower it a little bit. Our first coaching hire is the Portland Trailblazers hiring Chauncey Billups. Okay, so Chauncey Billups played in the league for 17 years. He was the assistant coach just for one season for the Clippers. Okay, so a little short-lived there, right? But he does have. Oh my god, I can't even think with this music. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna lower it a little bit more. Okay. So unfortunately, he has some skeletons in his closet. In 1997, he settled a civil case incident in which a woman alleged that she was quote unquote raped by him. Okay. There was criminal charges never filed, but he. Oh my god! I still like this music. Is just
That's a big one. That's big. That's if we're going by baggage. That's the suitcase there.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's the shipping container.
This electronic music does not make me want to think. Okay, so I'm gonna pause the music here, and I'm gonna ask you guys: do you accept this huge baggage? And so the small suitcase would be never coached, head coached an NBA team. I think the medium suitcase would be 1 year as an assistant coach, and I think if we're really comparing it to the big baggage in 1997 civil case. What are we thinking? Are you guys okay with him? Being a coach with the Portland Trailblazers?
I'll go first. Sarah Spain talked about this a little bit today, and this is becoming quite a problem for the NBA, it seems like. The NFL has kind of gone through a similar thing here with the Rooney Rule, where we're allowing black coaches to get interviews. They're almost like glorified interviews just to show that we're giving them interviews and then they're never hired. Eric Bieniemy has not been hired as a head coach in the last 2 coaching cycles, and it's absolutely freaking ridiculous. Becky Hammon is a female coach for the San Antonio Spurs that has wide respect in the entire league by everyone. She keeps getting interviews. It's the 2nd year in a row she's going through the whole coaching cycle, and then for her to get snuffed by 2 coaches, and I know we're going to talk about another one after, so I'll slow down on it, but by 2 people, and now specifically Chauncey Billups. Dude, he was so ace. They went right. He did settle that lawsuit right? There was a plea. They came to an agreement. So you don't come to an agreement with a victim unless you're at least willing to accept blame. Like some part of that blame gets put on you, correct? Mm-hmm. Okay. So now this was him and his teammate. They did a rape kit on this lady and found findings that would confirm that she was in fact raped. Okay. So no, not at all. He should not. So Chauncey Billups has had every opportunity in the world since then. Worked for ESPN. Now he was a coach for the damn Clippers. Even, and we'll get to Jason Kidd because Jason Kidd has his own bucket of bones. But no, there are way too many qualified people. There are way too many smart candidates all over the league that look all types of ways, all types of genders, all types of races that are more than okay with it. And what this did is it has now caused a conundrum for Damian Lillard, who has had to answer for the organization when the organization should be answering for them damn selves. He's got to go on Twitter and fight with these Twitter nerds that are coming to him about this, and rightfully so, because you got to go somewhere. And if the freaking organization is not going to answer for it, you're damn right. I'm going to go to the Star and try to get answers for it and say, hey, bro, was this your doing? Because we heard that Damian Lillard was interested in Jason Kidd, who doesn't have a rosy past either. So, no, I would not have hired him. You look awful. Now you're going to lose your superstar, and you kind of deserve it, Portland.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I would even say, like, you know, this shouldn't even be a reason, but Portland is such a super open, like, you know, city. Like, they're very, like, pretty progressive, I would say. And I feel like no team would say, like, oh, Becky Hammon, like, we don't want her. Like, I feel like that would be, like, one of the teams and cities that would be most open to having, you know, a female coach being hired on. And, yeah, the whole, you know, these whole rules that we have to put in place so that teams hire coaches and that aren't, you know, your pick of the mill, just white middle-aged man. Like, the fact that we have to have rules in place is just, like, infuriating at this point. It is interesting though that, like, we're starting to see a lot of, like, and this is how it's always been, right? But we're starting to see so many, like, ex-NBA players, you know, continuing the trend of becoming head coaches, right? It's like getting ESPN jobs, right? It's like, you know, you retire from your sport, well, you could always get a job with ESPN, right? It shouldn't just always be like, you were in the league, yes, you played basketball. No, you don't have to be a coach. Like, it doesn't always work out that way. I do like Chauncey Billups as a NBA player, but, you know, like, if he committed a crime and he served the time, right? Okay, well, then he should be allowed back into society. So I would say, like, I do accept, you know, that in a certain way, but it has to be, like, a part of the process of hiring, right? Like, this has to be a question that is brought up. It has to be vetted, and it should be exposed. It should be talked about, right? Because if you're you know, your fans, right, have every reason should have every reason to understand what you thought hiring this person, right? Because this is the National Basketball Association. We millions of dollars is shuffled around every freaking day here. So yes, I feel like he should be held, you know, and criticized for this stuff. But I do understand, like, yes, like, a crime was committed, and would I ever hire him? No. But I like, you know, I know we have to, like, at some point, like, reintroduce people back into society, right? Like, we have to give people a second chance to be able to prove themselves and to be able to, like, say, okay, like, so-and-so, this and that. But I feel like there are deeper rooted issues here that, you know, this just barely is the tip of the iceberg. And it, you know, it is unfortunate that we're not seeing enough well-deserved people get the jobs that they deserve, and we're seeing people with some history, you know, getting these jobs. And so, like, if I had a choice between Chauncey Billups and Becky Hammon, I would have chose Becky Hammon, right? Because I feel like that's an awesome hire, and one of which I don't have to necessarily, like, worry about what atmosphere I'm bringing to this team, right? Because, you know, lots of time has gone by, but Chauncey Billups can still be this heinous douchebag that he was back in '97. And you're right, like, there's facts to the case, but it was settled in a civil case, right? So, like, you know, not every fact was exposed, and you know, he doesn't actually have a chance to say he's not guilty. So, anyways.
Ryan, real quick, just to touch on this, and then I'll give my take because my take's a no. But Ryan said off of that though, do you think owners are looking to hire former players as a trend though? Just noticed that especially recently. It's kind of been a recurring theme. Honestly, a lot of like the great coaches in NBA history have been former players. Phil Jackson, just to name one of them, the guy who leads the coaches with the most championships in NBA history. He was a former player. Doc Rivers is a former player. Guys who have been coaching in this league for a long time. Some of them don't have controversial pasts, like Chauncey Billups, unfortunately, is now bringing to the forefront with this hire. It's just kind of unfortunate too when you couple the prior history with these like former players or anybody for that matter with their little to no experience coaching. Chauncey Billups 1 year on the benches. That's just kind of like. It's just going to be a no for me. I mean, with the Jason Kidd one, we're going to get into it. At least he had some time, as a head coach of organizations. Becky Hammon has coached NBA games. She's interim NBA games. And honestly, I think Greg Popovich has gotten himself thrown out of games that he's not going to win purposefully to see if Becky Hammon can coach. And guess what? She can.
Is this just gonna be one of those like scenarios where once Bill Belichick retires, like homeboy over there, what's his name?
Josh McDaniels.
Josh McDaniels is going to take over his job the same way once Popovich retires, Becky Hammon will just take over his job. Is that what's going to have to happen?
I mean, I hope it doesn't come to that because no one really knows when that will be, and there's not really a timetable that we can put on that. But when these jobs are open and she can't land a job after proving herself and coaching in Las Vegas summer leagues multiple times and having a very, very loud voice in a locker room full of grown NBA players in an organization that's very well respected around the league. I mean, what's it going to take at this point? Mike Budenholzer, the coach of the Milwaukee Bucks, who's currently, had a ton of playoff success, was under Craig Popovich for almost a decade before he got a chance to be a coach. So it takes a lot of time, and sometimes former players can just kind of muddy the waters a little bit in terms of like credibility. You saw even with Steve Nash, a lot of people didn't give Steve Nash credit this year for what he was able to do with the Nets. You just want to see a little bit more experience on the back end, at least personally, like from what you get from coaching hires nowadays.
Okay, so I'm sorry. I know I'm going to talk a lot. It's what I do. But this is just freaking annoying, and I can't stop with this, man. Because the more we talk about it, the more pissed off I get, okay? First of all, from Ryan's comment, right? The reason why these owners are okay hiring ex-players, Ryan, is because anyone with a front office that's in a front office right now is looking to save their ass. And the easiest thing to do is hire an ex-player and say, look, I got someone who came straight out of the damn league. If he can't do it, then he can't do it. But I'm not going to get fired for hiring Chauncey Billups, who's a former NBA player, been in the league for years, been in at ESPN now. Now he was on the bench. It's a real easy hire for me to save my ass as a GM. Because when we lose, I can just say, oh, well, first-time coach, coming out of the NBA, it was the right hire. It didn't pan out that way. If you go out and you turn left instead of right and hire Becky Hammon and you have the same losing streak, it's a lot harder to save your arse at the end of the damn season and say, oh, well, Becky Hammon was the first woman coach ever and she was unsuccessful, so now I look like the idiot and now I'm getting fired. When it should be the exact opposite. You should be thinking about it the exact opposite way. But no, everyone in the NBA, especially in those front office and upper management settings, are looking to save their own keister, okay? Becky Hammon has won the Summer League championship for the NBA, in the NBA. And if we want to go on about this a little bit, because you did mention Greg Popovich, it's kind of like the Sean McVay effect, right? If you coach for Greg Popovich, you're going to get a job somewhere, right? Unless you're Becky freaking Hammon because you're a woman. Okay? Look at Sean McVay. There was a time in the NFL, I swear to God, if you passed Sean McVay on the fucking overpass on the freeway, you were getting an interview. Okay? This chick has been under Greg Popovich for 4 years now. Coached NBA games. Won the G League championship. This is the Summer League championship. There are so many credentials that would allow. And then, don't even get me started on the WNBA and the growth that we've seen in the WNBA, the amount of respect that we're starting to put on the WNBA and what women are able to do, not only in the game there, but in the front office there, and the moves that we're seeing there. We are seeing that women, shocker, it's a crazy thing that women could do anything that freaking men could do, and that includes, guess what, leading freaking men. Okay? They do it everywhere else. They do it in our armed services. They do it in every other aspect of our life. But when it comes to sports, men, for some reason, have this fragile masculinity where I can't be led by a woman. I need to get screamed at by a 45-year-old middle-aged white man. No, shut up. okay? These people are just as smart, and a lot of times, like in this case we're seeing now, much smarter and deserve every opportunity that other people should be able to get, and they're not getting them, and it's really annoying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she actually has been with the Spurs, I think, 7 seasons.
I'm even under doing that.
Right, which is just ridiculous too. And she played 450 games in the WNBA, 6-time All-Star, averaged, a decent line when it came to points for her. She played for she played in San Antonio too. So I think she moved around a couple of times, maybe one or two teams she played for overall. But she played she's even playing. She played for the Liberty and she played for San Antonio, so New York and San Antonio. But she's playing in her quote unquote hometown area. She is from South Dakota, so it's not necessarily her hometown area. But for San Antonio, she played 8 seasons, right? So she's probably lives there. I don't know. I didn't look this up, but I'm sure she has a super strong connection. Playing for San Antonio for 8 years, being a head coach for the Spurs right after retiring from the WNBA. So she's been in San Antonio for 15 years. Come on, people. This is loyalty. You want a head coaching hire that's also going to be loyal? She should have been number 1. And there are still some open available spots, right? So I don't know.
I think Orlando's still looking for a coach. But
the Pelicans.
Don't go to Orlando. Don't go to down Orlando. Okay.
I'm just saying that's the opening. That's
I know
the
what you're
opening.
saying, and that's the problem. Is that a lot of these teams end up getting these goddamn hires, bro, and then they don't succeed, and then people wonder why they don't succeed. They go to an awful franchise.
Washington, New Orleans, and Orlando are currently looking for a new head coach. So.
You want to know how silly coaching has gotten in the NBA? Master P thinks that he can coach in the NBA right now. That's how silly we're starting to get. And we got qualified people like Becky Hammond that can't get goddamn jobs.
I know. I'm with you, bro. I'm with you. Okay, so I'm gonna play a little bit of music again. We're gonna
calm down. I'm calming down.
We're gonna reintroduce our next.
Just reel it back in a little bit.
I'm about to go off again because we're about to talk about this.
Okay, let me take a break Let me take a break and not go to the next crazy one. Let's go to the old man Rick Carlisle, okay? Mm-hmm. So Rick Carlisle got fired from the Dallas Mavericks, going to coach now for the Indiana Pacers. He's coached for the Pacers before. He played in the league for 5 years, won in 86, whatever, or I don't know if it was 86, I'm just saying. I think it was. He's coached for the Pistons, the Pacers, and the Mavs, and now the Pacers again. He took the Dallas Mavericks to 9 postseasons in 13 years, so not bad. Dirk Nowitzki got you there, buddy. He was the 2011 champ, and he's one out of 15 people to win a title as an NBA coach and as an NBA player. So are you accepting Rick Carlisle's baggage going to the Indiana Pacers?
I'll start this one off. I'll say yeah to Rick Carlisle. I've always liked Rick Carlisle. As far as I'm concerned, he hasn't had any off the court issues. He's been a pretty consummate professional in terms of being the head coach for the Dallas Mavericks. With an owner like Mark Cuban, who's super outspoken, it could be easy for a coach to really get into that kind of style too, and to be outspoken. But he's kind of he's very tempered. He's a fiery kind of guy. He started his coaching career in Indiana, something I actually didn't know. So cool to see him go back. I'm still in the camp, and I don't really know how many people would actually consider this. I don't think Nate McMillan should have ever lost his job in Indiana because he's now in Atlanta, and we're seeing what he's doing as an interim head coach. And if he doesn't get the head coaching job after this season with Atlanta, we'll come on here and yell about it some more. But I do like to hire Indiana's a good organization for him to go to. They have really solid players. When you talk about Karis LeVert, Malcolm Brogdon, and Domantas Sabonis, and to get a leader like Rick Carlisle, who's dealt with the likes of European players like Luka Doncic, Kristaps, and as you mentioned, Dirk Nowitzki, I think this was an out of the park kind of home run for them to get a guy like this on to come and coach this roster. So, Jay,
yeah, I don't mind the hire. Rick Carlisle as a coach is a fine coach. And in that situation, I think it's somewhere he can thrive. What I don't like is the did you hear about any interviews with Indiana for any jobs? No, you didn't, because there were none. Okay, Bobby Marks touched on this with ESPN. There were no interviews. Indiana decided they were going to go hire another recycled old white guy to come coach their damn team. So no, Do the hiring process right, okay? Go out, do some damn work. Just because he worked for your organization before doesn't mean you automatic just come on down. Do some research, man. Maybe this is why you're Indiana and you have all the goddamn talent in the world and you still stink.
So Rick Carlisle won the 2011 championship with the Mavericks, right? And then the next year, the Mavericks get swept by the Warriors, right? Baron Davis Warriors, the 1v8 seed, right? The Warriors were the 8th seed.
Yep.
Swept them, and then ever since that year, he hasn't gotten the Mavericks out of the first round. So they've lost every series, right? They haven't even made the playoffs. They've lost every series. There was a time period where Dirk was still playing for them, still wasn't getting them to the a little bit past his prime. So I'm gonna give Dirk Nowitzki and Steve Nash, Jason Kidd, who was on that team that he won the title with, more of the props to more than I'll give it to Carlisle in that sense. I don't mind the hire because he has been a coach for 19 years or something like that. So I understand, and I appreciate that he's still in the league. But at some point, right, like Jay's mentioned, we just got to get fresh blood in here. If you haven't done anything in 10 years as a coach, right? So yes, winning a title probably buys you a decade. So the Mavericks moved on after a decade. But yeah, knowing that the Indiana Pacers didn't vet someone else more, it's just kind of stupid. Just because who's to say he's the secret sauce to your delicious hamburger, right?
Well,
who? There's a lot of recipes, right, to make a super successful team. We know coaching plays a factor in it, but we also know that you need to have the star power and the firepower, right? So we also know that too. So I don't know. I don't see Indiana Pacers winning a title or improving by more than 5 games with this guy. So that's the way I look at it.
Buddy, they're smart. These organizations, you would imagine, are run by very smart people, right? So why would you do the only thing that would undermine your coaching hire, which is not go out and do your research before you hire the coach? Yeah. The one thing that you can do to make sure that every dot is every I is dotted, T's crossed, is to make sure you vet and you do some damn interviews, right? And you don't do it. You don't do it at all, and you go and you hire the same. I mean, look at how many recycled coaches we have in the damn NBA, bro. Tom Thibodeau is still coaching basketball. He blew Derrick Rose's knees and still finds jobs.
Coach of the year, baby.
Yeah, coach of the year. Yeah, it's Monty Williams, ridiculous. They're dead.
Okay. Let's get our next guy up here, okay? I don't know what song I picked first time hearing it, but it's called Lovin' LA. Because Jason Kidd is leaving LA to go play. Not play. He wishes. You wish, Jason Kidd. You were a really good point guard in the NBA. But you also beat up your wife, and you got charged for it. And you pled guilty to driving drunk and to hitting your wife. So, Jason Kidd, you technically are a criminal. But, you're not a murderer or a rapist. You're just a wife beater and a drunk driver. This happened in 2001. And in 2012, I think, when he was caught drunk driving. So, was a 21-year vet, right? One of the best point guards to ever play the game. He was also one of the 3 coaches to be traded from a team as a coach, right? He was a coach of the Nets for 1 season, got them to the playoffs, got them to the second round, I think, and then was traded to the Bucks the next year, and then coached the head coach of the Bucks for a few seasons, and then was later fired. Brought back for last season's postseason run with the Los Angeles Lakers, won the title. Never did one interview as an assistant coach because he didn't want the spotlight to be on him. But now the spotlight is on him because you are going to be the head coach of the Dallas Mavericks. So you're going back to the team that you won the title with, and you're replacing the coach who just went to Indiana, right? So, the crime was a little less here, right? are we okay with his baggage? I mean, I guess in terms of the crime, he at least committed to it, and he did say I did it, and if denial is the first step of rehab, right? So I would hope he's rehabilitated at this point, and still not being domestically involved with his wifey, but I don't know their situation, didn't look into it, just bringing up the facts so you guys can give your own opinion on it. I'm just going to give mine real quick. I like the continuity of seeing Jason Kidd going back to a place he used to play. I like that part of it. I do understand that, he did have some of his past come up. And again, just like with Chauncey Billups, as long as we're talking about it and as long as it's brought up and as long as people can give their opinion on it, like, I'm okay with him being a coach. But would he have been my first choice for Dallas? No, but he would have been in consideration. This is also a Dallas team which had trouble, which was just brought out, I think, a couple of years ago, if I'm not mistaken. For
2014.
Was it 2014?
Yeah, Sports Illustrated came out with that huge article with a bunch of stuff,
where they had workplace investigations for over 215 current and former employees, in which they assessed that there was some harassment and discrimination and workplace misconduct happening within the Dallas Mavericks organization. So is this a good look? No, because you're bringing in someone who did have some misconduct. Yes, it was at home, but again, it was brought to a court and, settled and whatnot. And, so, I mean, it doesn't look great. So just putting that out there. Do I feel comfortable with hiring someone like that? Maybe, but that's just my opinion. What do you guys think?
I didn't like when he was brought on as the Lakers assistant coach. At first, it was kind of like a pawn to see, like, if Frank Vogel would be the right guy. I almost 100% believe that if Frank Vogel did not win the championship last year, Jason Kidd would be the head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers, and I would not be a very happy Johnny. So, no, I would not have brought him on personally. I understand the continuity. Dirk Nowitzki now going into a role where he, obviously had some insight and obviously has the power to make the decision and help make that decision, played a factor into this. Rick Carlisle gets fired, and the first thing out of his mouth, and Luka Doncic praised the assistant coach for how well he was doing and how much he liked him. And the first thing out of Rick Carlisle's mouth is that Jason Kidd would be the perfect fit for the damn Dallas Mavericks. And then go figure, he's he gets hired as the Dallas Mavericks coach, right? A little fishy, if you ask me, a little too fishy. So no. I don't know. Again, very smart people who run these organizations. Mark Cuban is one of the smartest guys in the world. Not going to say that I know better than Mark Cuban. But from a PR standpoint, don't understand why you would even want to touch this crap with a 10-foot pole. You just had that huge scandal come out. They talked about how you specifically, Mark Cuban, talk about how you are the most in touch, the most in-depth, the most active owner in the NBA. And then this whole thing happened with all these accusations, and you never knew a damn thing about it because I'm only in the basketball operations. Homeboy, you cannot just be in basketball operations and be the most involved owner. Pick a lane, okay? Pick a lane because you're wrong. All right? Jason Kidd is a whatever coach. It's not like he was successful wherever the hell he was at. Oh, I'm going off today, dude. I'm going off today. Blood pressure's through the moon today, man.
This is the new quote. Jay-gregious. It's Jay-gregious.
I mean, dude. Again, like I've been saying, there's smart people that run these organizations, man. Like, how do you? We're starting right now. We're a relatively small YouTube channel, with some great fans that constantly watch us and comment. We're so thankful for you guys. But we are talking about this, right? This is a thing that is on national television. People are talking about this, right? Is he going to come in and take you to a championship? Probably not. Okay, not with this roster. So why do it? What is the plus here? I don't personally understand. And again, it's not like he's got. If it was just one thing, okay, domestic violence, awful, by the way, awful. You don't ever put your hands on women. I swear to you, I don't. Anyone puts their hands on women, I lose all type of respect for you, bro. You might as well be dirt at that point. So don't touch women, number one. And as if you can, okay, if you're the Mavericks, okay, we can look by that. You just had one of the biggest scandals of sexual abuse, assault, of any name that I can come up with happen, where we have over 30 testimonies from multiple females of times where they were uncomfortable, sexually harassed in your organization. And your idea is to go hire someone to run it that has a freaking history of being bad towards women? Like, I don't like it. I wouldn't have done it.
Yeah, no, I get you, man.
No, I'll be brief. Yeah, I'll be brief. I stand with everything Johnny said when it comes to domestic violence. It's the most intolerable thing, that you can pretty much do as a man, in my opinion. From a basketball standpoint, I don't mind former players being consultants and stuff. I don't think they should hold head coaching jobs, especially if they've already failed multiple times with them. Jason Kidd failed twice. He failed with the Nets. He failed with the Bucks. Should not be a head coach in this league. Cool that he was there for the Lakers. I didn't really pay any mind to it. Didn't even realize he was there until after they won the championship and Jason Kidd was there celebrating. To be honest with you, Frank Vogel was a coach that when he was hired on, that like Johnny said that if he ended up being the head coach of the Lakers, that he would have been really upset if Jason Kidd had followed through on that. I've always liked Frank Vogel, so good thing he's not. I don't think Jason Kidd should be leading the Dallas Mavericks organization. I think there needs to be kind of a revamp of that organization, to be honest with you, especially with all the accusations coming out. So no, I don't like this at all. Don't know why. I don't know why. The recycling of head coaches is probably not the best thing. I know I said that Rick Carlisle was a decent hire for Indiana. I wasn't aware of the thing that Bobby Marks had said. I didn't get a chance to touch on that. If they didn't do due diligence, that's something that needs to be looked at too. And it doesn't need to take, like you mentioned earlier, Ace, like a Rooney Rule in the NFL to be able to do like due diligence when it comes to the hiring process. There should be. We assume that there's smart people running these organizations. Clearly, there are not smart people running these organizations. Just a lot of people trying to make sure they maintain their jobs, and people just have to do better. To be honest with you, I don't think Jason Kidd should be a head coach in this league. To be honest.
And if I can have one more minute, because I know I've been going a lot today, okay? But there are a lot of people that when the Rooney Rule came out, and this is like, and again, I'm not trying to get too political, but there's a reason why the Rooney Rule was installed, right? People, when they came out with the Rooney Rule, started talking about, oh my God, look at how disastrous this is, right? We're giving these people opportunities that they wouldn't normally have, okay? What I would like to say to you is, why the hell do you think the NFL thinks they need to have a damn Rooney Rule? The reason why they need to have a Rooney Rule is because they aren't getting their fair shake. They are not getting the seat at the table they deserve. And the fact that there needs to be a damn rule put in should show you how piss poor it is. Because the Rooney Rule is bollocks. All it takes is for you to look at one minority interviewer. That's it. You look at one minority candidate and you're good. You're scratched off. Just check off your list. It might as well be a checkbox that you check when you go to start doing your damn interviews. Okay? Why do you think that is, you dummies? Well, because all we were doing was hiring the same damn people over and over and over again. So yeah, it's required, and it's not required because it's just, oh man, we might look at the landscape of these organizations, of these associations, football, basketball, even baseball. Look at who these players are, because they're not white middle-aged people, and a lot of times they're not even white. Look at the NBA. God.
I think a franchise should be penalized if you don't, maybe within a timeline of 10 years, if you don't hire a person of color or a different person of gender within 10 years, then you should be penalized all profits or something like that. You hit them where it hurts, where they love the most, and they love their money, so hit them there. Penalize the shit out of them, make them lose their draft picks. It shouldn't be that way, but apparently something has to happen. We can only do so much to try to change the world, but these large corporations and these teams are pretty much those corporations, right? Need to yes, I understand there should be they should vet more than just recycled older white dudes, but it shouldn't even be, we shouldn't even be talking about this still. This is we're not far enough past. I get it, and with everything that happened with George Floyd and the many names of people that we have lost to injustices around the world, but we have chances to make those things right, and it wouldn't even be a ridiculous hire to hire someone of color / different person of gender.
Yeah. And that's the thing.
It literally, you would get more fans and not lose more fans, because I feel like the majority of your fans nowadays are woke and understanding that the world has already changed. We just haven't, we mentally haven't met up with together have met up with the world that's already changed. We're letting it pass us by. Okay. So, Ime Udoka, he's the new coach of the Boston Celtics. Not going to really get into him because I don't want Jay to get upset again, because he was a coach for the San Antonio Spurs, assistant coach, and now he has a job. Becky Hammon was the assistant coach for longer and now doesn't have a job yet, so I don't want Jay to keep, his blood pressure up. But he has coached since 2012. He played for the Lakers 4 games. I don't even know this dude. He played in the league for a few years. Don't really remember him. He played from like the 2004 to 2010 or something, or 2011. Don't really remember him. Who cares? New coach for the Boston Celtics. Ultimately, I think he's just a pawn who can probably, manage a game, and where the Boston wants to control it from up top, right? Brad Stevens controlling the action from up top, so they're not going to bring in someone who's super opinionated. They're just going to bring someone who they know that they can work with, they know that they can control, and that they can mold into who they want it to be.
So what I will say just real quick about Udoka is he was with the Olympics. So he was a guy that Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown had a real liking towards, and Brad Stevens knew this because he did coach them when they were in the U.S. Olympics a few years ago. Just FYI. They were coaching the younger guys.
Yeah, and this guy's from Nigeria. I am happy that we're seeing this is slightly an out of the box hire. So,
right. It is, definitely. People were not expecting it, yeah.
So which is good, but yeah, like it also sucks that Becky. Like I'm not hating on him as Ime as much as I'm, like praising him. I get that, but like Becky Hammon hopefully gets a job this year, and if she doesn't, that's just going to be egregious. And
there's more women. There's more women out there besides Becky Hammon that are starting to work their way into the ranks. No, I'm just saying, because I don't want us to keep mentioning Becky Hammon, but there are just so many talented people in this world that deserve a shot.
She's our Jackie Robinson of NBA coaches.
She's our Trojan horse, baby. She's it. We're smashing through the gates with Becky Hammon.
Yeah. Okay. We're going to move on to the next segment here. This is going to be a little bit fun. It's a ranking, but it's not our normal ranking. I'm going to hit the music and the slides, and we'll have some fun in the next segment. Okay. So I'm going to call this, we're going to do this on the show now. This is called 1 to 5 aces, okay? So ace, me.
I love it.
I'm going to ask you guys a question, and I want you to rank it based off of 1 to 5. The criteria will change, the things we talk about will change, but we can bring this back as a recurring segment. So today I'm going to ask you head to head versus, we're talking about one versus the other, okay? And this is all basketball stuff. We're going to get it started with, I think, probably the juiciest one, and it's Pippen versus Durant, okay? And I want you guys to tell me, like, is this a big deal? Like, is this to the moon, or is this like, whatevs? Like, I'm gonna tell you, I'll read to you the description, the details, the narrative, and you guys kind of give me your overall thoughts about it. And remember, you have to rank it 1 to 5. Okay, so Pippen versus Durant. Pippen was asked in an article about Durant and comparing him to LeBron James. He said LeBron would have gotten the Nets further. I'm just summarizing here. That Durant is a scorer, LeBron James is a facilitator. Went on to mention that like he thinks Kevin Durant is a really good player. Durant hits him back on Twitter, calling out like that he didn't want to go into back into a game because Tony Kukoc had a play written up for him, and that at the time. Now we're hearing from Pippen that he thought it was a racially divisive move from Phil Jackson. So he and he does think Phil Jackson is racist. I listened to him on the Dan Patrick show today.
Yeah, a little DP today.
And so he did talk about that a little bit. And let me just share just a little brief moment of this interview, and then we can talk about it real quick.
Not really. I mean, I think with the Kevin Durant thing, I think that people may not have understood the question asking me, had he surpassed LeBron James? From a standpoint of looking at it at basketball and what LeBron James have been able to do from carrying a team, I don't think Kevin Durant is at a position where I can say that he surpassed LeBron James.
Okay, so that's hard to say, right? Durant might be a top 10 NBA player when all is said and done, right? He might have the stats to prove it. He has the championships to prove it. And he is, you are putting him against probably the second best player to ever play this game, right? So I think there was a little bit of context taken out. Kevin Durant kind of made a scene about it. Okay, so rank this, guys, 1 to 5. What are your guys' thoughts on this?
I'll go first. I'll say 2 aces based on if we're just talking about what he said about Kevin Durant. Now, what he said about Phil Jackson was blasphemous. I mean, I don't have anything that I've heard to back that up. He did come after Kobe, but that's besides the point. But based on their beef between Kevin Durant and Scottie Pippen, LeBron James is better. LeBron James, I mean, if LeBron James was on the Nets team, not that they would have won that series because Kevin Durant went absolutely nuclear, but LeBron James is the best. Me and Andrew, and we talked about this a little bit on the show, LeBron James, if you were able to mold a basketball player that's going to make the right decision at all times, it's LeBron James. If at all times you just needed someone to handle the ball or defensively make plays that are constantly the right decision, and you were a coach and said, I need you to make the right decision at all times, I am taking LeBron James. So, yeah, what he said is not blasphemous at all. Kevin Durant decided to come at him with the Tony Kukoc thing, which then led to him saying that Phil Jackson was a racist, but if we patch that all out, yeah, I think it's about 2 aces. I don't think it's a huge deal. Kevin Durant's on Twitter all the time, and he has all the right in the world to argue his case because he is one of the greatest players that we've ever seen, and obviously he's the second best player in basketball right now, behind everyone guess who? LeBron James. So no, it's not like what he said was ridiculous.
So you give it 2 aces.
2 aces.
All right, Andrew.
Love it.
All right, Andrew. What are you giving this?
I was probably gonna give 2 to this as well. Yes! I love that. That's funny. Yeah, I mean, when it comes to basketball, I mean, KD and LeBron they're just 2 different ways of like attacking a game. LeBron is just the guy who's gonna, the playmaking, the tactics, the way that you play the game of basketball. He plays it in minute 1 the same way he plays it in minute 48. Whatever's the best possible play to be made. Kevin Durant will go and try and take the game. He'll try and take the game I'm trying to figure out the right phrase that is actually. I know exactly. He'll take the game away from the other team. Like he'll just try and win it. Or try and just put it on his shoulders. LeBron's just going to make basketball plays, like I said, throughout every minute of a basketball game, and that's just what really separates them. Scottie's just kind of a little bit bitter from the last dance, unfortunately. So I think he's just kind of making his rounds on social media right now.
Man, you win 6 titles in this league, right? And that's not enough for you. You do it as the second best player on your team, and that's not enough for you. Yeah, I feel like there's here more smoke here than there is fire. I'm not going to rank it myself because I don't want to blow out too much of these aces here. But yeah, I'm with you guys. I do think that this is kind of being overblown to a certain degree because everybody likes to ride on Kevin Durant and kind of Scottie Pippen. I feel like both players get trolled a little bit, so that's what kind of makes this funny in a way. But okay, so Trae Young versus New York. So I'm pulling stuff that happened from each team. So this is representing the Atlanta Hawks. Trae Young versus New York, right? So that was kind of like the big thing this playoffs, How big of a matchup, like how intense was that for you guys? Like, if you had to rank that.
I'd say it's maybe a 3. I'll give this one 3 aces. Just because he went into Madison Square Garden. They were all fired up, and they were they were happy to be back in the playoffs. They celebrated pretty wildly after their Game 2 win because they're going to hang a banner now, I heard, on the second game of the next regular season. So, everyone get pretty prepared for that. Obviously, I'm just kidding. But I just give it 3 just because it made it, a little bit exciting. It helped Trae Young kind of put it get more of on a global scale because things happening in New York and the little sideline chatter you have with, Spike Lee and Tracy Morgan and all that fun stuff kind of made it very interesting. But Knicks fans, good for you. You guys celebrated Game 2 win. I'll give it 3 aces here.
I would give it 3 if
Gonna keep cutting you guys
yeah,
off.
no, I was gonna give it 3 if the Knicks were actually good. So I'm gonna give it 2 aces. So cue the aces. Attaboy! Yeah, 2 aces because the Knicks stink. I give it 2 to celebrate your Game 2 W. I'll go climb a light pole or something and be super ecstatic because you guys won a gosh darn game. So I'll give it if it was like maybe in the second round or something too, I'd give it a little bit of a boost. This stuff, Asa didn't even show us this, so that just caught us all by surprise. Absolutely great, Ace. Holy Toledo. Yeah, but 2 aces, bro. 2 aces. That's
okay. So the next thing I want to talk about. So we're hopping back and forth off the court here. So this one's off the court. And if you looked at the thumbnail today, it was off the court sessions because I knew we were going to be talking about a lot of stuff that wasn't necessarily like happening at the moment. So the Olympic roster was set. I'm going to really quickly read off this list here. Bam Adebayo, Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, Jeremy Grant, Draymond Green, Drew Holiday, Zach LaVine, Damian Lillard, Kevin Love, why is Kevin Love playing? Chris Middleton, and Jason Tatum. USA versus the world, right? Like usually we win most of these, right? Is this how interesting is this roster though against the world? And is this if you had to rank it?
Probably this just 1. This is 1 ace here. I mean,
I love it coming from right. Light it. Oh, that's so great.
Oh, I did that on purpose.
Yeah, I'll just give it 1 because this isn't even close to. It's a very talented roster, but it's not even close to as talented of a roster as the USA ever put out. I mean, in 2012, they rolled out a starting lineup of Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Kobe, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh. Mm-hmm. So this one, and then on the bench they had Dwight Howard, James Harden, Russell Westbrook, and Carmelo Anthony. So this isn't even close. But I'll just give it a 1. The world has yet to catch up, unfortunately, to the NBA. But unfortunately for the world, the NBA is the epicenter, and that takes place in the United States, where all the basketball players go to play. So it probably won't be for a very long time for the world to catch up to the U.S. in basketball.
Real quick. For the ranking of the aces, should 1 ace or 2 ace be like cricket sounds? I could adjust that for the future.
That's good. Yeah, that's
okay.
Good.
I like that.
And then maybe 4 and 5 are yays, and maybe 3, I'll find a neutral one. Okay, got it. Okay, Jay, what do you think?
1 ace. Yeah. So everyone else is better at soccer than us, and we're just better than everyone else at basketball. That's pretty much all we got to say about it. That's pretty much it. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Okay, so going back to the NBA, some of the our 4 remaining teams, Kawhi Leonard versus load management. This guy, we've talked about it before. He managed his load as much as he could. Sounded weird saying that, so I had to pause there for a second. He managed his time playing, right? And so he should be healthy, right? So please rank on your scale of 1 to 5. Like how frustrating do you think it is to be a Clippers fan right now, based off of the guy who you signed, right, to come in to play for your team, and who took off games so you could play in these crucial games and is not playing? What do you think the Clippers fans are feeling right now?
I'll go first because it's quick. 1 ace. Clippers fans, do yourself a favor. Go stand in the mirror, take a good hard look at yourselves, and understand that you're the damn Clippers. No one gives two shakes about you. No one cares about you. You're lucky you even got Kawhi Leonard or Paul George there, whether he's on the bench or playing in the game. Shut your faces, be quiet, and be LA's little stepbrother like you are.
Andrew?
I'll say 3. I'll say 3 to this one because I heard a couple reports. Some of it seems like it's mostly tongue in cheek. That if he's not happy with the medical staff, that could sway his decision on whether or not he's going to stay in LA. And that if he doesn't end up staying in LA after all this load management, if you're a Clippers fan, that doesn't bode well for you guys because they traded away 7 first-round draft picks for Paul George. They'll have a little bit of cap space, but they also have $128 million over the next 4 years between Luke Kennard and Marcus Morris. You aren't rooting for the Clippers, Tyler thinks. No, I'm not rooting for the Clippers. I'm not rooting for the Clippers because I think that the Clippers need to win for LA. I'm rooting for the Clippers because I thought that they were a better team than the Suns, which is obviously not panned out, and Kawhi hasn't returned, so that's why I'm rooting for the Clippers. But yeah, this is 3 aces only because you don't want to I wouldn't want to deal with all the talk in the offseason, and if it becomes a topic, then I would be kind of annoyed. But I don't know if it will become one yet, but we'll have to wait and see to when the season ends, depending on what the injury is, because we still don't know what it is and what happened to him.
Sure, we're left in the dark.
Yeah.
Just like I'm not gonna make a pun. Okay, so the next one here is Giannis versus free throws.
Oh God.
So 1 to 5. If you had to, if you could make this a part of I don't know, the All-Star game, or no, I lied. Giannis can practice 1,000 free throw shots. What's your ranking from 1 to 5 that he would make 2 in a row for you, and he has to make 2 in a row for you to save your life? So he could have 1,000 practice shots. What's your what are you? 5 being he saves your life, 1 being you're dead. So where do you guys feel about Giannis and saving your life?
This will be my last show on the AJA Sports Show, ladies and gentlemen. I'm about to die, so
you could put up your
put up your
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
1.
And okay. Yeah, Giannis technically held the ball for more than 11 seconds or something like that in this game 1 the other day. So he technically should have been penalized for that. Wasn't. It's just ridiculous. He takes forever. Fans are trolling him, which I love, and making a full out of him. But dude, just if you're gonna miss him too, so just stop taking so freaking long. Just get back to the game.
You know your free throw shooting is absolutely terrible when you make Shaq look like a good free throw shooter. And his percentage is making Shaq look like a good free throw shooter right now. His 3-point percentage is even more abysmal. It's ridiculous. He's shooting 16% from the 3-point line in the playoffs. It's just ridiculous.
Okay. Let's see if we're gonna get a 5 here, okay?
Okay.
This is how impressed you are with the Suns. So on a scale of 1 to 5, this is the Suns versus the narrative, okay? So everybody has had their opponents, and I feel like this might have been the matchup, the underlined one that we didn't really think and see coming. They were the number 2 team to the Jazz, right? So they've had to face that all season. That was a part of the narrative, that the Jazz were a little bit better. Everybody picked the Lakers, including the 3 of us, right? They proved everybody wrong. They the Lakers were going to be the first 7 seed to win the title. We said that, right? Mm-hmm. They came into the next series and swept the Denver Nuggets, right? Jokic MVP, best player in the NBA this year, but Chris Paul kind of made himself feel a little bit like he was the MVP based off of how how well they played. So they've played against the narrative this whole season, and they've kicked the narrative's ass, right? So how impressed are you with that?
I'll give it a 4. I'd go higher if I didn't have to put asterisks around some of the teams they played, right? Like the Lakers were obviously not healthy. Denver obviously didn't have Jamal Murray. And now we're looking at the Clippers, and they don't have Kawhi Leonard. So I would say 5 if it wasn't so. If I didn't have to say it about every single team, then I'd probably give it a 5. But it's every team had an injury. So
yeah, that's fair enough. What do you think, Andrew?
I was ready to give them a 5-2. The only reason I'm holding back, and it's not because of the injuries, which is still a solid point. I'm going to give them 4. We got close to a 5, and the reason why we got really close to a 5 is if they would have pulled off a win in game, if they would have won in Game 2 in this current series with the Clippers, they would have joined one of only 2 other teams in NBA history, the 1971 Milwaukee Bucks and the 2016 Cleveland Cavaliers, as teams to win 9 straight games in a single postseason, and they would have accomplished that had they won Game 2 against the Clippers. They didn't, so I'm going to give them 4. Injuries happen. I don't think there should be asterisks just to lay it out there. I don't think there should be asterisks for any NBA title, to be quite honest with you. No matter what the playoff run, titles are hard. No matter what shape, size, doesn't matter. There's lucky breaks and everything. You could go back 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. You can go back as far as to when Kobe won titles too. We could talk about when I mentioned Game 7 earlier being one of the ugliest games in NBA history against that 2010 Finals. Kendrick Perkins didn't play in that game, and to Celtics fans, Kendrick Perkins was that stopper in the middle. So if we really want to look back, we could look back to and nitpick at every little thing. It's hard to win NBA championships, injuries or not, regardless of it all. No asterisks. But this one gets 4 because they just came up a little bit short of tying an NBA record.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for participating in the first ranking of 1 to 5 aces. We'll bring this back a few times, and I'll do a little bit of tweaking to make it a little bit more enjoyable for your pleasure, your viewing experience. You could view us elsewhere. We have lots of episodes if you want to look back. Some of the more recent ones we're doing are timely, but we got a nice database of stuff. Just search AGA Sports Show and type in something, and you'll probably get a search result you like. But that'll be it for us today, guys. Thank you for playing along. Thank you for letting me surprise you with.
That was awesome.
Love it, dude.
With some of Ace's faces. Thanks for tuning in, Ryan and Sabby. And we'll see you guys next time on the AJ Sports Show. We out. Bye.
I give that Court Sessions episode 5 aces.
Oh yeah, at least 5 aces.
Maybe 5.5. Who knows? I'm kind of crazy today.